What makes Nicolas Cage so good? A question like that ought to keep critics up awake at night for at least a couple of decades. I mean, no, seriously, it's kind of a hard question to answer. I mean, on one hand, it's pretty obvious that he's been in some really great movies and played some phenomenal roles, and on the other hand, well, he's been in some not-so-great movies. But honestly, I feel like I can't help but respect and enjoy what Nicolas Cage puts forward in almost every single movie that he's in, or at least in the ones that I've seen him in. It's this one core tenet of almost every single one of his performances that just grips me, shakes me around like a madman, drops to the floor in a convulsing mess of movement, and then tucks me into bed and kisses my forehead good night. And this one core feature of his acting ability is that, for better or worse, Nicolas Cage is goddamned entertaining.
Well, I only bring it up because, it's you. You're the Rocket Man.
Look, I'm not trying to say that every single one of his movies is a classic. Hell, I wouldn't even be willing to say that I've enjoyed or even watched most of his movies. I mean, the guy has one of the most prolific acting careers in the history of the medium. He's got acting credits in over 103 movies, for Christ's sake, which, just to give you perspective on that, is more than Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Cruise's entire acting careers combined. It's also probably the main reason he has a reputation for not being able to turn down a role as long as the check clears. But among these dozens upon dozens of movies, there are equally dozens of gleaming gems amongst them. Performances that to this day stand as unparalleled examples of just what it is that Nicolas Cage brings to the silver screen. Things that I'd be willing to wager few other actors and actresses could bring in themselves. You see, Nick Cage's acting is like an enigma. I believe Forrest Gump summed it up best. You see, Nicolas Cage is like a box of chocolates. You never really know what you're gonna get. And by that I mean you never really know what side of him, or more importantly, what side of the characters he's portraying that you're about to see. You might get batshit crazy Nick, or you might get action junkie Nick, or you might get melodramatic Nick, or you might get surreal Nick, or you might get method acting Nick, or you might get any combination of those or any of the other countless Nicks I haven't even mentioned. Look, I'm not gonna tell you I'm some fancy acting coach or movie critic, and if you're looking for a more in-depth analysis of Nick Cage's acting styles, I'd recommend you take a look at Wisecrack's video on the subject, which I've linked to in the card above. But simply put, Nicolas Cage is so good because he's arguably one of the most interesting and entertaining actors in the business. I have frequently, in fact more often than not, found myself going to see movies he's in just to see what kind of Nicolas Cage I'm about to encounter. He's like the evolution of actors. Put Nicolas Cage in an action role and he'll evolve into performances like The Rock or Kick-Ass. Give him a role in a drama and old Nicky might just fuck around and win an Oscar. Give him a role in an animated movie and he might just take the most R-rated Spider-Man and make him not only family-friendly but also gut-bustingly fantastic to behold. Nicolas Cage has got a million different faces for a million different roles, and almost every single damn one of them is fun to watch, even if the movie he's in winds up being a god-awful spectacle. It's one of the reasons Nick Cage is a meme lord, while simultaneously being an Oscar winner. It's one of the reasons Nicolas Cage stays consistently busy, and it's also one of the reasons that people can even wonder and seriously argue as to whether or not he's a good actor deserving of the acclaim he receives. But to me, there's just no argument to be had. Nicolas Cage is fun to watch, talented, and a unique product equally worthy of all the praise he gets as well as the criticism. Because to me, cinema and entertainment in general should be one thing above almost everything else, and that is entertaining. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more wonderfully opinionated content, and as always, this has been So Good, reminding you once again to go out there, watch something wacky and wonky, but most importantly, keep on loving good stuff.